I'm going to bring my great friend, my personal mentor, my coach. He was responsible for the intellectual property of the Batman brand and the Power Rangers brand. So without further ado, I want you to give him a warm round of applause. I'd like to welcome the one, the only, the powerful Rand Brenner.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Wow, Arthur, thank you so much for having me here. What I'm going to do is, while I'm trying to get wired up here, is just say good morning. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's morning. I want to thank you all for coming out this morning, because you all have made an investment of your time and energy, and you could have been doing other things, but you chose to be here, and I really appreciate that. There goes a little ball again. And I appreciate Arthur for having me come out here. Philadelphia is a city with a lot of history, is it not? Yeah. The founding of the country, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, the Liberty Bell.
Julius Erving.
What is it? Julius Erving, of course. Yeah, of course. Silly me. Yeah. You ever wonder who dropped the Liberty Bell, put that crack in the thing? A city that is rich in history, and I was looking up some statistics about Philadelphia, which is really fascinating because I'd only had an opportunity to visit the city once. But did you know you have the most public artwork of any city in the United States? I didn't know that. No? Did you know that you have one of the largest landscaped parks in the United States? Yeah. Fascinating stuff. So it was interesting as I learned a bit more about it. And when I went to school, I was always a bit of a history buff. That was one of my better classes. One that was a little more interesting to learn about. So coming to Philadelphia is a great opportunity to come out here, and Arthur and I had an opportunity to meet. You never know, these meetings that you meet people are so interesting. Don't you ever wonder how the world works, and you kind of weave yourself and wind up meeting somebody, and then it takes you to another level? And so we had an opportunity to get introduced, and Arthur had called me and said, would you do an interview? And I said, sure. And that's what kind of started this relationship and brought us here today. And I was very excited when Arthur said, I'm putting together an event. I said, great, when is it? He says, well, I'll get you the details for it. And he put it together and scheduled some time to come out here. So I thought this is going to be fun, and it is. And are you having a good time so far? Is this interesting? Are you glad you came out this morning? Didn't you like Bernie? Bernie's speech? Yeah. Very inspiring. In fact, I was taking some notes here because a lot of what Bernie said is so true, and it was just, I was thinking, wow, Bernie, thanks for the great lead-in, because this is going to be terrific. So we're here today because you all want to take yourself to the next level. This idea of being in your comfort zone is so true. That is so true. If you can't get out of your comfort zone, you can never go to the next level. And so today, what I hope to do is move you way out of your comfort zone. Okay? I want to talk to you about something that is really what this whole, where we're going with this economy. The economy is changing, is it not? The world is changing, is it not? Okay? It's not the same anymore, is it? You think we're going to go back to the way it was? Okay? We're going to be going forward, and you're all going forward. And let me start with, can we turn on the, can we use some technology here today? Bernie talked about some technology. Can we apply some of that here today? Everybody, who's a technophobia here? A technophobia, okay. Right, Bernie gave us that story about learning the keyboard and how it led to the computers. And he's so right with that. When you talk about the technology, here we are in an era where you can literally be connected to anyone in the world at any time, 24/7. You think about that. We are in a period of time where it's never been a better place to be for opportunity. Would you agree with that? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
There is so much opportunity that abounds. And the thing about it is, it's evolving and changing, and you have to recognize where it's going. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about is exactly that, where it's going. And what I'd like to start with, what we're going to be talking today about, is intellectual property. But I'd like to begin at a different place. As soon as I figure out how to get this to work. I just push the button?
Right.
This button. There we go. Okay. And I want to start with and a lot of this, and Bernie was so telling, so I'm going to come back to your presentation. But one of the things that we had talked about, that Bernie had pointed out, and it's so true, is, you know, attaining wealth can be done by anybody. But you've got to have systems and procedures in place to do that. And a lot of times you look at and you wonder, you know, why are some businesses successful and why are they not? And if you ever do research on how wealth is accumulated in the United States, you'll find that it's spread out across the board. Regardless of what the media says, and it talks about that there's a 1% or a 0.5% or whatever that the wealth is accumulated, statistically, wealth comes from across the board. Rich, poor, black, white, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Okay? It's out there. And the question is, why does somebody why do two people in exactly the same businesses doing exactly the same thing, why is one so wildly successful and the other not? Haven't you ever wondered that? Right. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. The answer was because they're not doing the same thing. It comes down to what are your systems? What are your procedures? Okay? Because oftentimes we get involved in situations where we become very myopic and thinking about just getting through the next day or the next place. And we often lose this opportunity to stand up and be observant and see what's going on. So wealth is a system. And for those of you who have never read Wallace Wattles' book, I encourage you all to read it. Written back in the early 1900s, because it's so applicable today. There's some things that are as true then as they are now. And one of the things I'd like to do is to begin by asking you all a question. What is wealth? Anybody have an idea?
Happiness.
Okay. Do we have some nice colored markers here I can play with? Oh, good. Lots of colors. Look at that. Pinks and greens. I'm going to have a good time up here today. This is going to be fun. All right. So let's start, and let me just write down a few of these. Okay, so what is wealth? So one of the answers was happiness. Okay.
Security.
Happiness, security, financial independence, financial. I didn't do well in spelling, by the way. In case you're wondering. Independence. What else?
Abundance.
Abundance.
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Health, absolutely. Okay. Yes, these are all parts of wealth, but they're not all of wealth. Wealth comes in two forms. Okay, and these two categories are, the first is tangible wealth. Everybody understand what the word tangible means?
Yes.
What does tangible mean? Touch it, feel it. Okay, so what are examples of some tangible wealth?
Gold.
Okay, gold is a perfect example. What else?
Artwork.
Artwork.
Money.
Real estate. Money. What else?
Oil.
Diamonds.
Oil. Diamonds. Jewelry. Yeah. Well, those little baubles that women like? Yeah, you see all the women in the room there? Yeah.
Handshakes.
Handshake. Sure, why not? Okay, so these are all types of tangible wealth. You can see it. The other type of tangible wealth is what's called intangible. Does everybody understand what intangible is? What is intangible?